2,000 years ago, London did not exist. There was only a river winding through the mist, the River Thames. In the year 43 AD, Roman ships quietly arrived. They built Londinium, a small outpost of wood, stone, and the sweat of soldiers. From a simple wooden bridge, a city began to breathe. But when the Roman Empire fell, Londinium faded into darkness. London did not die. It rose again in the Middle Ages, a city of kings, war, and fear. In 1066, William the Conqueror entered London. The Tower of London was built, not just to defend the city, but to remind everyone who ruled it. Narrow streets, mud-covered roads, and darkness in every corner. Then death came knocking. In 1348, the Black Death swept through London. Church bells rang day and night. 1/3 of the population vanished. The city fell silent, except for prayers and cries. September 1666. In just 4 days, London burned. Flames devoured homes, churches, and memories. 80% of the city turned to ash. But from the ruins, London was born again.
Hurry! The bridge might collapse!
The 19th century. London became the largest city in the world. Factories rose. Black smoke filled the sky. Progress brought hope. And suffering. In 1863, the world's first underground railway was born. 1940. The skies over London lit up with bombs. Civilians sheltered underground. The city was battered, but its spirit was not broken. London stood firm in the face of war. 1952. A toxic fog covered London. Thousands lost their lives. The city was forced to change, to survive. From a Roman outpost. Through plague, fire, and war, London became a symbol of resilience. 2,000 years have passed, and the story of London is still being written. In the 17th century, London was already one of the largest cities in Europe. Nearly 500,000 people were packed into a dense and rapidly growing metropolis, where narrow streets, timber houses, and the River Thames shaped everyday life. This was a city expanding faster than it could safely contain. Driven by trade, river traffic, and constant movement. Through modern AI reconstruction, we can step into scenes that once existed only in paintings, and see London not as a still image, but as a living city. Old London Bridge was far more than a bridge. It was a crowded street suspended above the River Thames. Houses, shops, warehouses, and chapels were built directly onto the bridge, rising several stories high and projecting over the roadway below. Beneath them, the river was forced through narrow stone arches, creating violent currents that made navigation dangerous. Fire was a constant threat. Congestion was unavoidable. Yet for centuries, people lived and worked here. Until the 18th century, this was the only permanent crossing of the Thames in central London. To cross the city meant to cross this bridge. In September of 1666, a small fire became an unstoppable inferno. Built largely of wood, With narrow streets and crowded buildings, London was defenseless. Even St. Paul's Cathedral, the city's greatest landmark, was consumed by the flames. Within days, much of medieval London had been reduced to ash. Yet from this devastation came transformation. The fire erased centuries of construction, and forced the city to rebuild, reshape, and begin again. Power in 17th century London rose directly from the river. The Tower of London stood as a symbol of the state, a fortress, a treasury, and one of England's most feared prisons. Farther west, Westminster formed the political and spiritual heart of the nation. Parliament, courts, coronations, and royal rituals all unfolded beside the Thames. Before modern roads and bridges, the river was London's true highway, carrying people straight to the centre of power. Whitehall Palace was once the centre of royal government, a vast complex where decisions shaping the kingdom were made. Kings and courtiers arrived by boat, stepping directly from the river into the heart of the Stuart Court. Far from the crowded city, Richmond Palace offered space, cleaner air, and retreat. It was here that Queen Elizabeth I spent her final days, marking the end of the Tudor dynasty. 17th century London was crowded, dangerous, and deeply divided. But it was also a city that shaped the world we know today. These streets, these crossings, and this river still exist, even if their forms have changed. We may never truly step back in time. But through these reconstructions, we can come closer than ever before. If there is another city, another moment in history you would like to see brought back to life, let me know in the comments. The journey into the past continues.
In the 1700s, London was a vast metropolis of more than 500,000 people, both prosperous and chaotic. This was a period of dramatic transformation, from a medieval city devastated by the Great Fire of 1666. London gradually rose to become a global centre of power and commerce. Elegant squares emerged in the West End, alongside the grand works of architect Sir Christopher Wren. Thanks to modern AI technology, drawing on 18th century paintings and engravings, we can now recreate historic London with unprecedented accuracy, from its architecture and streets to its people and atmosphere, almost as if we were turning the clock back nearly 300 years. The heart of the empire, the Thames and central London. From an aerial perspective along the Thames, the area that would later become Tower Bridge reveals Georgian London at its peak of prosperity. It was the world's largest seaport and a global trading centre. Christopher Wren's magnificent St. Paul's Cathedral dominates the skyline, completed in 1710 after the Great Fire. Nearby is the Great Fire Memorial, a permanent reminder of the catastrophe that reshaped the city. The Thames teems with sailboats and rowboats, serving as London's traffic artery. The historic London Bridge, still lined with houses and shops, reflects the moment London transitioned from the Middle Ages to the capital of a rising superpower. Greenwich, the gateway to London and a centre for future science. From One Tree Hill in Greenwich Park, 18th century visitors could gaze out over the entire gateway to London. This location later became the centre for global longitude measurement, with the prime meridian established in 1884. Below stood Queen's House and Greenwich Hospital, a massive building for retired sailors. A symbol of British naval power, this view is considered one of England's most beautiful prospects, remaining virtually unchanged to this day. Text-to-speech platform by VB.VN. Leicester Square, the cradle of art and aristocracy. In the mid-18th century, Leicester Square was London's most fashionable residential area. Leicester House was once a royal residence. It was also a centre of art, home to big names like William Hogarth and Joshua Reynolds. The statue of King George I in the centre of the square symbolised royal power. However, the golden age of aristocracy here was coming to an end, giving way to entertainment culture. Audio content produced by VB.VN. Tower of London, Power and Fear. Viewed from the south bank of the River Thames, the Tower of London stands as a fortress of power for over 700 years. Built by William the Conqueror in 1078, the White Tower served as a palace, prison, armory, and repository for royal treasures. Traitor's Gate was the final entry point for many famous prisoners. The ships passing by the tower demonstrate that the river was both a trade route and a symbol of power control. Royal Exchange, where the world traded. The Royal Exchange was London's financial centre in the 18th century, where global merchants gathered daily. Bells signaled trading sessions. Shouts of buy and sell echoed in many languages. And luxurious shops surrounded the area. Here, the foundations of modern finance were laid, inspiring exchanges from New York to Hong Kong. St. James's Square, the pinnacle of aristocracy. This is London's most prestigious address, where dukes, counts, and prime ministers resided, under the direction of Charles Bridgeman. The square was renovated with a lake and exquisite decorative lighting. Later, the area gradually transformed into clubs, organizations, and businesses. Cheapside, the commercial heart. Cheapside is London's busiest market, where merchants sell everything from silk and jewelry to books and spices. Street, Mary Le Bow Church, with its distinctive bow bells, defines the Cockney identity for true Londoners. This street combines the power of modern-day Wall Street and Oxford Street, where the merchant class built their economic empires. Thousands of historical paintings and engravings allow us to recreate lost cities. With AI technology, the past is brought back to life. And the question is, which city would you like to see revived next? Vietnam's top text-to-speech solution from VB.VN.